All right, so I'm out walking the Beltline in Atlanta with my friend, and we just decided to spontaneously let him interview me for today's YouTube video. I don't know the questions ahead of time, so this is out of inspiration.
So I have a few questions for you, Hope. And, this is for new followers or new people that are being introduced to you. Question 1, for those just discovering you, how would you describe who you are and the work you do today?
Ooh, well, this is really funny because we were working at a switchyards and I was just telling Troy about having a billion ideas, and he told me that I needed to make sure that I had some sort of focus so I wasn't going all over the place. So I came up with this little flower design that describes everything I'm trying to do perfectly. So the message of hope is in the middle of all of that. So at the essence, no matter what I am presenting, whether it's content creatively, or it's a random photo shoot, or it is a blog that I've written, or a book I'm working on, or a workshop I'm having, or even in my practice as a therapist, everything I am trying to do is bring a bit of hope to a world that needs it now more than ever. And so I believe creativity is the thing that kind of ties it all together as well. And it's just like, I'm a flower and I'm the middle of it, and there's writing, content creating, therapy, workshops, photo shoots, and each of them are a little petal of the flower.
That's good. That's great. Question 2, which is a playoff of question 1. What did you have to let go of in order to return to hope and see more specifically that flower that you just described?
Oh, okay. Well, mostly I had to let go of doubt in myself. I believe that because I was still in the process of healing and removing all of the trauma from my body, sometimes I felt like I wasn't actually in the position to be putting all the hopefulness out into the world. And that was the story I was telling, and I had to let go of that. And really, I have to also still let go of saying yes to everything that doesn't actually fit in the flower.
Makes sense.
So doubt and distraction, the 2 Ds.
Which is a great transition to the next question, which you don't know that I have.
Look at me.
How has your relationship with grief evolved over time, and what do you wish more people would understand about it?
Ooh. My relationship with grief has evolved in... Initially, when it first happened, I sort of saw it as like a dark storm cloud over me, because no matter what, I was always kind of worried about some sort of something triggering me and me not being able to handle it, quote unquote. And then as I got some confidence within myself to like manage all of the feelings that go with grief and just go with life, now I feel like grief is like a doorway to remember love and the importance of cherishing the moments I have on earth. Like, grief is now my reminder of valuing my health, putting into my health, recognizing when my friends are alive and well, and being thankful every day we all wake up. And so grief to me now is more of a reminder of what's important. It's like my guide because of how big of a loss it was to lose somebody like Steve. And now to just be able to like cherish every moment I have is like my compass. And also now I feel like very, 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 very prepared to work with everyone else's grief because of my grief journey.
That's very cool. You talk a lot about healing through movement, art, and presence. Whatever brings you into presence, healing through that. Why do you think embodiment is so essential to healing?
Embodiment for me is to be able to say, hey, I believe in this and I'm gonna like live in that space. So I believe in the possibility of me being able to be healed, and I believe in the possibility of me being able to help others be healed, means that I'm like actually living in a healed place. So I'm not out being afraid of being triggered, because now I understand triggers are a message and not something to be afraid of, because I have built that like embodiment of healed hope, and I'm able to go out into the world in that. I think if you're not embodying the message you're trying to bring to people, people are going to feel it. It's not going to be of resonance. You know, so if I wasn't embodying a healed hope and I was like, hey, guess what? I believe I can get you healed. I don't think people would buy into it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. It makes a lot of sense. So would you consider yourself, I mean, I consider you this, but I'm asking you, would you consider yourself an artist or a creative person?
Yes. Do you want me to expand?
Great. No, I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Can you tell us about a piece of art or a moment of creating that felt like a turning point for you?
Honestly, my zines that I created were a turning point for me, because I have always wanted to put out writing and my art in some sort of published form, and I have never really allowed myself to see myself as capable of doing so. And so I just gathered a lot of art, a lot of poetry, a lot of writing, a lot of process, a lot of skills, a lot of and put together my zine, and it felt like a really good step forward for me.
Yeah, I think your zine was great. You saw a lot of who you are packaged into one, which is a difficult thing for someone that is multi-hyphenated in everything that they do.
Thank you.
What role does nature play in your healing and creativity?
Nature is my muse. She's my everything. She regulates my nervous system. She helps me breathe. She inspires me. The birds, the flowers. Like, if you've ever seen any of my art, it's all nature. But also walking in nature, spending time at the river, doing anything outside is how I keep my nervous system regulated. So when I start to feel a little frazzled, I just go outside and nature's there. And she gives me a nice big hug and a welcome home to myself and to peace.
Great. What is one belief or truth that has changed your life completely? Whether it's new or a former one.
The belief that everyone has the capacity to change, including myself. There's a narrative within the therapy world that, like, if somebody has a personality disorder or somebody has this disorder, there's no longer space for them to change. That guy might change one day and not have a loud car. We gotta hold out space for people to change. I don't think it's fair to put anybody in a box based off of a diagnosis, based off of past behavior, based off of trauma. And so the belief that anyone has the capacity to change, and especially you, like, we all look at change as this big daunting task, but really if you just do like one thing at a time, 1 5-minute change a day can change your entire life in a year. And we all have the capacity to do that.
So that's great. I have a follow-up question to that. On the other end, on the receiving end, when, I know this is a very personal thing, like you change yourself, but on the receiving end, allowing space for others to change, does that mean we just hold the space and wait for and look for opportunities or notice opportunities when others have changed and lean into that? Or do we just cut people off? If you get what I'm saying, cut people off.
There's a really sacred line we walk between having boundaries. And so it's like having discernment of what we let in. So we can love people as they are, but if where they are is hurting us, we don't have to let them stay in that place in our lives. And so we can keep an open mind to the fact that they're going to change, but also distance ourselves until we see what we need to see. And especially if it's harmful, you know, like if it's just wanting something to line up with change of patterns or habits, we got to give people time and space. But if it's like genuine harm, you got to also make sure you're protecting yourself. And then here's the other thing about change that I've recognized, because I'm the girl who makes like leaps and bounds of change on a regular. not everyone is also going to be ready for your change. And so you have to allow people to have whatever response they have without it deterring from you doing whatever you feel like you're being called to change.
I love
That's
that.
a side note.
Thank you for clarifying what was in my head about change. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. What does living an honest life mean to you?
Okay, so this is something that as a therapist I'm always really mindful of, especially when I'm like putting content out, sharing my life so vulnerably, is that I want to share the real, but I also want to practice like discernment on what actually feels like it needs to be shared, because sometimes we don't need to be sharing all that. Sometimes it's not helpful. And so for me, it's a fine balance between what feels helpful, hopeful, authentic, not forced. Like, I don't want to share things because I'm like, oh, I want the internet to make sure they know I'm being honest. I want it to be shared because I'm like, oh, I actually believe in this experience I just had as a portal to share a message. And I think an honest life always starts with being honest with yourself. So as long as I'm being honest with myself and my intentions with what I'm doing, then, you know, and I have to obviously be open to somebody calling me out and be like, hey.
Yeah.
But, you know.
No, it makes sense. What brings you joy
Raindrops
lately?
keep falling on my head. What brings me joy lately?
Yeah, what brings you joy lately?
Oh, so many things. My friends doing really cool things in life and wanting to share with me about it. My friends wanting to create things with me. Being out in nature. Being able to see everything come back to life. We love spring so much. The birds. Listen to the birds. Do you hear those birds? Birds always bring me joy. You. Well, you personally, but also you watching. Basically, I live in like a constant state of bliss at the moment, and I'm really quite thankful for it.
That's great. That's great. I love that. What is something your younger self wouldn't believe about your life now?
Ooh, that I am living on my own, paying my bills, and I'm not feeling anxiety about it at all.
That's good.
Woo!
I like that. It's so often that we don't reflect on our younger selves and our thoughts, and yeah, that's good.
Also, I was mega awkward
Yeah.
when I was younger and struggled having friends and knowing how to talk to people outside of talking to trees. So the fact that I have like a beautiful community that's growing, Hope would be really proud of that.
And what? This is the last question.
Ooh,
And
grand finale.
last question. What does hope mean to you today?
Hope means standing firm in reality and being able to see everything that's going on, taking an honest reflection, not closing your eyes, but also recognizing there's potential for things to always get better. There's potential for me to feel better, for me to show up better, for the world to do better, for communities to grow. And it's grounded. It's a very grounded in reality, but also keeping your vision on the fact that the light can grow. We don't have to write the story that like darkness is taking over, and keeping our eye on how can we contribute to the light growing. Woo!
Well, I appreciate you do that again. I appreciate you answering these questions. I'm sure your audience will as well, and thank you.
Troy needs to have his own little podcast where he like stops and has conversations with people, because he's like naturally an MC and does really good. And these are just the conversations we have on a regular. And so the fact that we decided to film it, him not wanting to be on camera, but like technically you hear him, he's there.
Maybe a podcast the latter half of this year.
Okay, all right. If that happens, I'll come let you all know.
Thank you.
Goodbye.